Part 49. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible. Author, New Did. Chapter 481. The Sky Universe is huge. Enlangxiu and the others immediately contacted Ye Chen after entering the Sky Universe, but the contact failed. Not to mention that their strength was suppressed 100 times, even if their strength was not suppressed, the chances of them contacting Ye Chen in the Sky Universe were not high. Strengthen. Enlangxiu used her system's strengthening ability to contact him again. Still failed. What should I do, what should I do? Enlangxiu was anxious. The Lord of Death will arrive soon. If Ye Chen gets the news to the outside world, Ye Chen is not afraid of the Lord of Death, but in the Sky Universe, even if Ye Chen adapts to the environment, he may not be able to beat the Lord of Death. The Lord of Death's strength can be increased 5 times. He has already reached the level of 4-star immortal level, and his combat power is definitely not just 4-star immortal level. With a 5-fold increase, he is stronger than Xiaolu. Xiaolu and Hanjian Palace may only be able to resist the Lord of Death. I was too hasty just now. If I bring the Dark Supreme and his imprisoned cultivators here and kill them, maybe I can alert my husband. Enlangxiu thought to herself. Suddenly, Enlangxiu was stunned. She thought of a solution that was not a solution. The next second, Enlangxiu controlled her sword and stabbed herself fiercely. Puff. The long sword pierced Enlangxiu's heart directly. Enlangxiu would not die from such an injury, but the pain it brought her was not low. She could only hope for Ye Chen's intuition now. With Ye Chen's strength, his intuition would be very strong. Enlangxiu is Ye Chen's woman. If she is hurt, Ye Chen is more likely to sense it. Puff. Puff. Enlangxiu gritted her teeth and controlled the long sword to pierce several holes in her body in succession. In the Brahma ring, Ye Chen suddenly opened his eyes. He was uneasy. Anlan, Qian, Lanyan, Yan'er. Ye Chen sent a message. If the distance is too far, he will most likely not feel it. He suspected that Enlangxiu and the others might have reached the Sky Universe. Ye Chen's eyes lit up, and he successfully sent a message to Enlangxiu. Enlangxiu and Lu Qian, Enlangxiu is closer to Ye Chen. With Enlangxiu's strength, she cannot send a message to Ye Chen, and Ye Chen's strength in this is much stronger than hers. System, contact Enlan. Ye Chen immediately said in his mind. Before Enlangxiu and the others came, the system could not contact them. The Sky Universe has strong restrictions, and now there is no problem with contact. Enlan, how did you get in? Ye Chen's voice quickly sounded in Enlangxiu's mind. Enlangxiu said hurriedly, "Husband, the Death Lord has returned. It will probably be here in the Sky Universe in a few minutes. Get out." Ye Chen was shocked. He really didn't expect the Death Lord to come back at this time. He hasn't been back for 20 or 30 billion years. It's so disgusting to come back at this time. Enlan, where are you? Husband, I'm here. Enlangxiu said her location. Husband, you probably don't have time to come find me now, go out quickly, I can handle it myself. At least I have the strength close to the top Liuli realm now. By the way, husband, Qian is also in here. Ye Chen asked Luo Yudi to go outside. He told Luo Yudi about the situation. Chang'e, go and help Enlan immediately. Don't worry, brother-in-law. Luo Yudi set off immediately. Her combat power in the outside world was about 35, and now her combat power has only recovered 1/5. But in the Sky Universe, she is already a top powerhouse. Luo Yudi can fight 7 ordinary top Liuli realm powerhouses. As long as she finds Enlangxiu, Enlangxiu will most likely not have any problems. System, summon Qian. Ye Chen called in his mind. The system immediately launched the summoning, and Lu Qian was naturally summoned over. Qian, I already know the situation. Ye Chen left the Sky Universe immediately. From the time En Langxiu and the others entered to the time Ye Chen left the Sky Universe, it was only 3 or 4 minutes. Although the Death Lord had the warship speeded up, he had not arrived yet. Master, not only the Death Lord is coming. In their warship, there is another 4-star immortal level strongman and 6 3-star immortal level strongmen. The Hanjian Palace City Spirit sent a message to Ye Chen. Although Xiao Lu has now recovered to the 5-star immortal level, he just moved, and Xiao Liu's strength will be greatly reduced when he moves. Now Xiao Lu is only 3-star immortal. 2 4-star immortals, 6 3-star immortals. Ye Chen's face changed. Something is wrong, the Life and Death Palace does not have such a strong power. If the Death Lord and the others are allowed to enter the Sky Universe, En Langxiu and the others will be in great danger. Full force burst of momentum. Ye Chen sent a message to the Hanjian Palace City Spirit and 5 4-star immortal level Tongtian sword bamboos. These Tongtian sword bamboos are definitely not as good as Xiao Liu's when Xiao Lu is in his prime. But they can exert their mobility. Boom! Ye Chen took the Brahma ring, and the Hanjian Palace instantly became tens of thousands of times larger. An extremely strong aura emanated from the Hanjian Palace. Inside the Hanjian Palace, 5 4-star immortal auras also burst out immediately. Death Lord, come here. A huge sound came out from the Hanjian Palace. In the space battleship that came over, the expressions of Death Supreme and others changed drastically. The palace on Ye Chen's side actually exuded the aura of the 5-star immortal level. There were also 5 4-star immortal level auras. They only had 2 4-star immortal level strongmen and 6 3-star immortal level strongmen. It is very likely that they will not be able to win. Death Ancestor, we have left the Life and Death Palace. The Master is very powerful. You should follow the Master. The Dark Supreme said at this time. He and the Golden Arrow Supreme and the others all showed their figures. Show your strength, and then we will retreat quickly. The Black Tiger Supreme said hurriedly. If you don't show your strength, Ye Chen and his side may chase you. Daiyu, I have joined another powerful force, the Dark Sect. Our leader is a 6-star immortal level strongman. I'm afraid it's not convenient for us to join your forces, goodbye. The voice of the Death Lord came to Ye Chen and his team, and at the same time, a strong aura burst out from the warship. The Dark Sect. Ye Chen narrowed his eyes. I see. No wonder the Death Lord came back at this time. There is a problem in the Death Paradise, they should come to investigate this. Retreat. The space battleship of the Death Lord turned around and left at a very fast speed. Even if they are the strong men of the Dark Sect, they are not as strong as them, and they will not easily take risks when they don't know the origin of the other party. What if Ye Chen and his team are enemies of the Dark Sect? Death Lord, I know your leader and have a good relationship with him, come over. Ye Chen shouted. Death Lord and his team ran faster, and the Dark Sect used to develop in a low-key manner. In recent years, it has been more high-profile. The current situation of the Dark Sect has more enemies and fewer friends. The more Ye Chen said this, the more Death Lord and the others felt that this was too right. Huh. Ye Chen secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Hanjian Palace, plus 5 4-star immortal sword bamboos, he stayed in Hanjian Palace, and it was no problem for him to protect himself now. But Death Lord and the others are fully capable of breaking into the Sky Universe. As long as they enter, En Langxiu and Luo Yudi will be in great danger. In the Sky Universe, En Langxiu will be in trouble now. The 2 top Liulai realm masters of the Life and Death Palace sensed her entry. Ye Chen's woman En Langxiu. One of the masters' eyes lit up. Let's take her down. Another master said. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible. Author, New Di. Chapter 482. You too, my husband will be here soon. Although I just came in, my husband has been here for several months and has adapted to the environment here. En Langxiu said in a deep voice. She has not adapted to the environment, and her strength is not at the top level of Liuli realm. In addition to the self-harm, En Langxiu's strength has been reduced a little. One-on-one is better, but one-on-two, En Langxiu knows that she can't beat her even if she uses the system. Let's take her down first. One of the strong men in the Hall of Life and Death said. Yes. The other strong man nodded. Wait, I have the cultivation of immortal level, it is impossible to catch me with your strength. Maybe I can kill you by self-destruction. I can resurrect myself later. En Langxiu said coldly, you will not benefit from taking such a risk. Why? If you force me to self-destruct, my husband will definitely not forgive you. Countless strong men in your Hall of Life and Death are under the control of my husband, and they will all die at that time. Hearing what En Langxiu said, the two strong men in the Hall of Life and Death did not act immediately. En Langxiu felt a little relieved. To be honest, the Lord of Life and Death Hall, the soul-destroying Supreme and the others are now under the control of my husband. It is impossible for you, the Life and Death Hall, to win. Among the captured masters of the Life and Death Hall, there should be your relatives and friends. If you don't make a move, I will let my husband let your relatives and friends go. The two masters were tempted. En Langxiu struck while the iron was hot and said, you two should know that if my husband hadn't come here early, I wouldn't have come in like this. The soul-destroying Supreme and the others were all captured by us. You should be able to judge what kind of strength my husband has. Do you know the Withered Wood Supreme? He has pledged allegiance to my husband. Don't bother with it for so long, but the Lord of Life and Death Hall and the others have pledged allegiance to my husband. The two masters completely gave up the idea of taking down En Langxiu. The clone of the Withered Wood Supreme entered earlier and tricked the Lord of Life and Death Hall and the others out. It seems that the Withered Wood Supreme has really pledged allegiance to Ye Chen. It is entirely possible that the Lord of Life and Death Hall and the others will pledge allegiance to Ye Chen at that time. Fairy Onlin, I apologize for offending you just now. I hope you can say a few good words to Lord Ye Chen. One of the strong men bowed. En Langxiu nodded slightly, don't worry, I'll keep my word. You can take your relatives and friends away at that time, but the number of friends cannot be too many. Thank you. The two strong men said at the same time. Miss Onlin, please stay in another place. We have sent out a message before we came here. There will be more strong men coming from our Life and Death Hall. The other strong men may not make the same choice as us. En Langxiu nodded, and she changed the location and hid. The new location is not too far away. If Luo Yudi comes here, she can contact her directly. Half a day has passed. There are more than 10 top Liuli realm strong men in the Life and Death Hall who have arrived at the area where En Langxiu is. One of them is the son of the Lord of the Life and Death Hall. He is quite powerful. But in the Sky Universe, he cannot increase his strength. Although the Sky Universe is powerful, the number of deputy orders of the Universal Order is still limited. Most of the dozens of immortal level masters are there. I don't know what's going on outside, my husband. I don't know how long it will take for Chang'e to come over. En Langxiu thought to herself. The masters of the Hall of Life and Death are constantly searching in this area, and it shouldn't take too long to find her. The son of the Hall of Life and Death is present, and they are not so easily persuaded by her. He knew that if he asked for the release of the Hall of Life and Death, Ye Chen would definitely not agree. Sister Onlin. At this moment, Luo Yudi's voice sounded in En Langxiu's mind. En Langxiu breathed a sigh of relief. Luo Yudi could send a message to her, which meant that she was very close to her. She will definitely be there within half an hour. Chang'e. En Langxiu tried to send a message once, but it didn't work. Her strength here is much weaker than Luo Yudi's now. Sister Onlin is here. The message was successful, Luo Yudi's eyes lit up, and she quickly approached and Langxiu. 20 minutes passed. One of the strong men in the Hall of Life and Death had his eyes light up. He found something strange. Fourth Master, and Langxiu might be here. The strong man in the Hall of Life and Death immediately sent a message. The hidden and Langxiu looked solemn. The strong men in the Hall of Life and Death who were looking for her did not stop. She could clearly feel the breath of the strong man in the Hall of Life and Death nearby. The other party paused. It is very likely that she was discovered. System, enhance the speed. And Langxiu said in her mind. The next second she was outside and immediately fled at the fastest speed. When the system was enhanced, and Langxiu's speed was much faster than that of ordinary top Liuli realm strong men. But among the 10 or so strong men in the Hall of Life and Death, 3 were not slower than her. One of them was even faster. The other party had 2 or 3 times the strength of the top Liuli realm. Burn vitality. And Langxiu used the forbidden technique, and her speed was doubled again. For the immortal level strong men, burning vitality will not kill them, but it will affect their potential. Occasionally it's okay to do it once or twice, and you can make up for it. If it happens many times, your potential will be greatly affected. Don't use your killing moves. Capture her alive. Oduno, the son of the Lord of Life and Death Hall, said in a message. If they use attacks, several of them can attack in Langxiu now. But a dead in Langxiu is of little value. Chang'e, where are you? And Langxiu summons someone every 10 seconds. 2 minutes later, and Langxiu's summons was successful. She immediately informed her of her situation. Knowing that An Langxiu was in critical condition, Luo Yudi immediately burned her life force. Her strength increased from 7 times to the top glass level to 14 times. The two flew relative to each other, and in less than a minute, Luo Yudi discovered An Langxiu. Behind An Langxiu, a strong man from the Palace of Life and Death followed closely. The distance between them is getting closer. Receive. Getting closer, Luo Yudi directly received An Langxiu into her own space treasure through the air. Puff. An Langxiu relaxed and quickly retracted the forbidden technique, and a mouthful of blood spurted out from her mouth. Chang'e, leave first and settle the score with them later. An Langxiu said in a message. There are about a dozen strong men here in the Palace of Life and Death, and Luo Yudi can't find them without burning his life force. It's not worth burning your life force to fight them. Moreover, if their lives are threatened, the strong men in the Palace of Life and Death will burn their vitality to take action. Good. After collecting the forbidden technique, Luo Yudi quickly left. She is 7 times as strong as the top glazed realm, and those strong men in the Palace of Life and Death cannot catch up. When the surroundings were safe, Luo Yudi immediately left Tianxian universe with An Langxiu. An Langxiu just entered, and she couldn't leave immediately. Outside Tianxian universe, Ye Chen naturally discovered Luo Yudi immediately. Receive. After receiving Luo Yudi and the others into the Hanjian Palace, Ye Chen breathed a long sigh of relief. An Lan, have you taken any recovery pills? Ye Chen asked as his powerful power entered An Langxiu's body to help her recover. Husband, you have eaten. Husband, there's nothing wrong with me, don't worry. An Langxiu said. Hurry up and recover. Ye Chen said in a deep voice, An Langxiu's injury is not serious. Let's go back to July universe first. Back in the July universe, An Langxiu's strength can be increased 7 times, and she recovers faster. On the side of Tianxian universe, the Lord of Life and Death Palace has been captured, so there is no rush for now. In addition, Death God and the others are likely to be looking for July universe. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible. Author, New Dit. Chapter 483. Death God and the others made inquiries and indeed went to the Titan universe. They are looking for July universe. However, July universe has been transferred and hidden. They can't find the Death God in a short time. En Langxiu and Lu Qianqian knew the exact location, so Ye Chen naturally took them back easily. As soon as he returned to July universe, En Langxiu immediately felt that his strength had been greatly enhanced. For the same injury, the stronger you are, the easier it will be to recover from the injury. Moreover, on July universe's side, Ye Chen's strength can be increased 9 times, and he can also help En Langxiu recover. Everyone, let's spread out and search. If you find it, notify the others immediately. We gather together once a month. The Lord of Death said in a deep voice. Good. Black Tiger Tianzun and the others nodded. They searched for several days and found nothing. Although they came here to check for abnormalities in Death Paradise. But Ye Chen and the others are very powerful inside, and now no one in Death Paradise appears. It was normal for them to check July universe first. Soon Death God and the others assigned the area to search for. 2 4-star immortal level experts and 6 3-star immortal level experts were looking for them separately. This greatly improves efficiency. July universe is hidden, and it is almost impossible to find people below the immortal level, but if a strong person of the immortal level is close, it is entirely possible to find it. Nowadays, July universe is not too far away from Titan universe. Death God and the others are strong, and it is only a matter of time before they find July universe. 2 months passed in the blink of an eye. As time accelerated, En Langxiu almost completely recovered. There will be some after effects, and it will take more time to slowly smooth them out. Wives, you all stay here in July universe, I'm going to Tianxian universe. In the Sky universe, there are many powerful people in the Palace of Life and Death. It's impossible to let them go like this. Especially a guy like Odano, the son of the Lord of Life and Death. Husband, do you have to go there? Death Lord and the others are powerful. Lu Qianqian said worriedly. Ye Chen smiled and said, don't worry, I will find a way to solve it. We can't stay here forever. It's safe this way, but Hanjian may need our help in the future. Zi Lanyan said, husband, before entering, you'd better make sure Death God and the others are not inside. It should be possible to find them. At this moment, Ye Chen noticed something strange. An extremely powerful person has entered the July universe. A deep smile appeared on Ye Chen's face. A top powerhouse has entered the July universe. It should be the 4-star immortal companion of Death God. The Lord of Death should be nearby too. It was Black Tiger Supreme who entered. His strength is much more powerful than ordinary 4-star immortal level experts. The combat power value reaches about 3000. In addition, he has a rather special treasure. Normally, when you first enter a new universe like July universe, your strength will be suppressed 100 times. If it is still higher than the top glazed realm, it will be suppressed to the top glazed realm level. But the Black Tiger Supreme's strength was not suppressed to the top glazed realm. And it was only suppressed to 1/10 of the level. The combat power value is still as high as 300. Strength is confidence. The Black Tiger Supreme enters the July universe without fear. But he never expected that Ye Chen and the others had already come out of the paradise of death. And because En Langxiu was injured, Ye Chen and the others are now in the July universe. Husband, has the Lord of Death come in? En Langxiu's eyes lit up. Probably not. The other party has a special treasure. Not only has his strength not been suppressed to the top glazed realm, but his strength has only been suppressed by 1/10. Ye Chen's eyes lit up. The other party has good things. If he gets the opponent's treasure and enters the Hongmeng universe, his initial strength should be much higher. System, hurry up and adapt to the environment here. The Black Tiger Supreme who entered the July universe said in his mind. He has a system. The system does not have strong combat power, but it has a strong ability to adapt to the environment. With the help of the system, he naturally has such ability. Good host. Black Tiger Supreme's system responded. Black Tiger Supreme can clearly feel the growth of his own strength. Normally it takes half a year to fully adapt to the environment here, but for him it only takes 1 month. Welcome to July Universe as a guest. At this moment, Ye Chen's voice sounded in Black Tiger Supreme's mind. The Xuxian sword formation sealed off the surrounding area. In the July universe, with a 9-fold increase, Ye Chen's combat power value is as high as 4 to 5,000. Not to mention that Black Tiger Supreme has just come in. Even if he is completely adapted to the environment here, he still can't beat Ye Chen. Break. The Black Tiger Supreme immediately transformed into his true form and unleashed his strongest attack. Ye Chen looked at it with a smile. Bang. The Black Tiger Supreme soon discovered that his attack was useless. You can save your energy. Ye Chen chuckled. He said that powerful power entered the Black Tiger Supreme's body and directly sealed the Black Tiger Supreme's cultivation. Is the Death God outside, or in your space treasure? Ye Chen asked. The eyes of the Black Tiger Supreme flashed. Ye Chen, so you have come out of the Death Paradise. The problem in the Death Paradise is caused by you. I am from the Dark Section. Our leader is a top 6-star immortal level strongman. Are you interested in joining our dark sect? With the strength of a 4-star immortal level and the backing of a powerful force like the dark sect, the Black Tiger Supreme was captured, but he was not afraid at all. Even if he died, he could recover. And with his strength, he was not afraid of others to torture him. It is difficult to torture a 4-star immortal level strongman like him. What did you say? Ye Chen asked. I am the Black Tiger Supreme. It is the guardian of the dark sect. The Black Tiger Supreme said in a deep voice. He did not hide this. Ye Chen, you arrested me and offended our dark sect, and you will not have a good end. If we can't solve the problem, then there will be 5-star immortal elders coming. Ye Chen nodded slightly. Black Tiger Supreme, you are very powerful here. What kind of treasure do you have? Black Tiger Supreme snorted. The system I have is special, but our dark sect does have treasures with such effects. 5-star elders come here and enter the July universe, and their strength will be much stronger than the seat now. Ye Chen, if you join our dark sect, you should be able to get the position of guardian. It is not impossible to become an elder in the future. Ye Chen smiled lightly. You haven't said whether the Death Lord and others are in your space treasure or outside. Black Tiger Supreme frowned. Ye Chen still asked this, which means that Ye Chen is afraid that he does not intend to join their dark sect. Ye Chen, you join our dark sect, and your future is bright. Why do you have to go against such a behemoth as our dark sect? Black Tiger Supreme said in a deep voice. Ye Chen said in his mind, system, you just forcefully devoured his system, should that be possible? Yes. Ye Chen's system responded. His system was not so powerful before. But in Death Paradise, Ye Chen's system devoured a large number of systems, and its strength increased greatly. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible. Author, New Did. Chapter 484. System, what are you waiting for? Just devour his system for me. Ye Chen ordered in his mind. Black Tiger Supreme's system is actually not weak, but there is still a big gap compared to Ye Chen's system. What are you doing? Black Tiger Supreme suddenly shouted violently. He got word that his system was under attack. Then he couldn't contact his system. Ah! Soon Black Tiger Supreme held his head and screamed. Ye Chen's system is strengthening the system that took him away, and this process is not pleasant. The longer the system takes to recognize its master, the deeper the bond becomes. the greater the damage the system will suffer if it is taken away. Stop, Ye Chen, stop it. If you dare to steal my system, I will never let you go. The Black Tiger Supreme roared in pain. But Ye Chen ignored it. It took about half an hour for Ye Chen's system to finally successfully engulf Black Tiger Supreme's system. Puff. Black Tiger Supreme spurted blood from his mouth, and he was severely injured. The system digested the Black Tiger Supreme's system and gained the ability of his system. Use the power you swallowed to enhance your abilities in this area. Ye Chen ordered in his mind. Good host. Ye Chen looked at the Black Tiger Supreme. The Heaven Refining Tower was only a 3-star immortal treasure. Not even a 2-star immortal powerhouse could do anything about it, let alone the Black Tiger Supreme. If you want to defeat the Black Tiger Supreme through torture, the level of the Heaven Refining Tower must reach the 6-star immortal level. I can think of this for now. Without entering the Supreme Universe, it is simply impossible to sign in and obtain such a level of treasure. Black Tiger Supreme, open your space treasure. You should know that if I spend a little more time, it's okay to forcefully open your space treasure. Ye Chen said softly. The Black Tiger Supreme smiled ferociously and said, Ye Chen, then you should spend some time to force it open. You don't cooperate with anything. Ye Chen frowned. Snored. You took away my system, and you still want me to cooperate with you, just dream. Ye Chen, just wait to die. There will be more powerful men from our Hades church, and you will die. Black Tiger Supreme said in a cold voice. Ye Chen nodded slightly. The next second he took Black Tiger Supreme to a mountainous place. Not far ahead of them were 2 wild boars. This will be doing the work of reproducing future generations. Black Tiger Supreme, what kind of cubs do you think a top master of the Black Tiger clan like you would give birth to if you combined with an ordinary wild boar? Ye Chen said with great interest. Second question, do you think that if you confine all your cultivation and give that boar enough medicine, will it become interested in you? The Supreme Black Tiger's eyes widened. You are cruel. The space treasure seat can be opened. But if you want to use this method to get other information, just dream. Black Tiger Supreme gritted his teeth and said. Anyway, the contents of the space treasure cannot be saved, so just open it. Soon, Black Tiger Supreme opened his own space treasure. Ye Chen took out everything inside. The Black Tiger Supreme has lived for countless billions of years, and there are naturally a lot of good things in it. But it is a pity that the Death God and the others are not in the space treasure. There is a high probability that Death God and the others are hidden outside July universe. I'm afraid the Death God's strength is not weaker than that of the Black Tiger Supreme. If I go outside and stay in the Xuanhuan Palace, I will have no problem protecting myself. But it's a little difficult to take down the Lord of Death. Ye Chen secretly thought. The Xuanhuan Palace cannot suppress the strong ones who have not entered the Xuanhuan Palace. The 5 heavenly sword bamboo trees are weaker than the Death God. As long as Xiaoliu moves, it will take a day to adapt after settling down. Otherwise, Xiaoliu would only have the strength of a 3-star immortal level. I hope the Lord of Death will be fooled. Ye Chen whispered in his heart, he had a plan. He, and Langxiu and the others hid in the Xuanhuan Palace. The Xuanhuan Palace turned into the Tianyang Emperor's palace and restrained its aura. Luo Yudi took Xuanhuan Palace outside July universe. Escape. As soon as he arrived outside, Luo Yudi immediately used an immortal escape talisman. And it is a 3-star immortal escape talisman. Ye Chen got it from the Black Tiger Supreme's space treasure. Luo Yudi's speed has temporarily reached the level of a 3-star immortal powerhouse. Sir, Luo Yudi escaped. She's fast. The Death God is currently resting, and 6 3-star immortal level experts are distributed around the July universe. One of the experts found Luo Yudi and immediately sent a message. Want to escape? Death God opened his eyes and a smile appeared on his face. In his opinion, in this situation, Luo Yudi should have discovered the entry of Death God. The Lord of Death has just entered and is so powerful. If Luo Yudi continues to stay in July universe, she will probably die. Since she has a powerful escape talisman, she might as well go outside and give it a try. The Death God doesn't know that the powerful people on the other side of the sky and universe are Yechen and the others. Luo Yudi is in the July universe, and the Death God knows it. Don't chase me. To prevent Luo Yudi from discovering her, she will blow herself up. You continue to block this side. The Lord of Death sent a message to the remaining 6 3-star immortal level experts. He quietly chased Luo Yudi alone. With the speed of Death God, he could catch up with Luo Yudi in half a minute, but he did not approach immediately. Luo Yudi must be very vigilant at this time. 10 minutes passed, and Luo Yudi was already far away. At this time, Luo Yudi's speed instantly dropped 10 times. The 3-star immortal escape talisman she used lasted only 10 minutes. If it normally takes such a long time, if you can escape, you would have escaped long ago. If you can't escape, even if you have more time, the possibility of escape will be very low. You should have escaped, right? How come that guy is so strong as soon as he enters the July universe? Luo Yudi muttered, looking shocked. The Lord of Death is nearby. In his opinion, it is easy to capture Luo Yudi. But what he wanted was to be captured alive. If Luo Yudi cannot be captured instantly, Luo Yudi will most likely choose to self-destruct. Hide first. Maybe it will be located. Luo Yudi muttered. Death God didn't know what kind of treasure Luo Yudi wanted to hide in. If it was an immortal treasure, it would take him a while to break it open. Luo Yudi might self-destruct. Ban. The powerful power of Death God instantly poured into Luo Yudi's body. At the same time, he quickly approached Luo Yudi. He wanted to imprison Luo Yudi's cultivation in an instant and capture Luo Yudi alive. Absolute defense. Yechen and the others have been waiting. Death God took action, and Lu Qinqin's absolute defense was immediately released. Protected Luo Yudi. Death's imprisonment was greatly reduced. Luo Yudi successfully escaped into her own space treasure and directly entered the Xuanhuan Palace. I'm looking down on you. But you can't run away. Death God immediately chased after the space traces left by Luo Yudi. In an instant, the Death God arrived in the Xuanhuan Palace. The terrifying pressure from the Xuanhuan Palace was instantly suppressed on the Death God. 5 4-star immortal level bamboo sword bamboo also launched an attack. Yechen breathed a sigh of relief. That's it. As long as the Death God enters the beauty palace, it will be impossible for him to run away. Chang'e, you just took too many risks. You should enter the beauty palace earlier. Yechen came to Luo Yudi and criticized. His plan was for Luo Yudi to use the escape talisman to leave and soon enter the Xuanhuan Palace. In this way, Luo Yudi is basically not in danger. Luo Yudi stuck out her tongue and said, "Brother-in-law, I succeeded, didn't I? Although your plan is safe, the chance of capturing the Death Lord is much lower. Brother-in-law, I'm actually not very dangerous like this. The Lord of Death will definitely want to capture me alive. It might be more dangerous to deal with him later." Yechen glared at Luo Yudi angrily. "Fortunately, you succeeded. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible." Author, New Di. Chapter 485. Death Lord's combat power is as high as 3,500, which is higher than that of Black Tiger Supreme. Sensing something wrong, he immediately used forbidden techniques. Boom. Boom. Death Lord fought desperately. But it was useless. The suppression of Xuanhuan Palace reduced his strength a lot. The 5 4-star immortal sword bamboos also have extremely strong strength. Puff, puff. Yechen's immortal slaying sword formation also enveloped Death Lord, and wounds continued to appear on Death Lord's body. Damn it! Death Lord's face was extremely ugly. He was also a very powerful figure among the 4-star immortal masters. He had been in the Supreme Universe for billions of years without any problem, but he was defeated here. Banned. Not long after, Death Lord's strength was greatly reduced due to his injuries. Yachen completely imprisoned Death Lord's cultivation. There are still 6 3-star immortal masters in the July universe. Yachen frowned secretly. The combined strength of the 6 3-star immortal masters is not weaker than that of the Black Tiger Supreme or the Death Supreme. They are also scattered in different directions of the July universe. It is not an easy task to capture the 6 of them there. Yachen thought for some time and did not go to the July universe. He deliberately leaked some of the aura that the Death Supreme had just burst out of the battle to the outside world. 5 minutes later, the 6 3-star immortal masters sent a message to the Death Supreme. The message failed. Huh. This 3-star immortal master showed a puzzled look in his eyes. It didn't take long. With his strength, why couldn't he contact the Death Supreme? Everyone, something seems to be wrong. I can't contact the adults. This person sent a message to the other 5 masters. They also sent messages one after another. None of them were connected. 10 minutes later, they still didn't succeed in contacting, nor did they receive a message from the Death Supreme. Brothers, this situation is not right. Even if we can't contact the Master, with the Master's strength, we should have no problem contacting us. Does it take so long for the Master to deal with Luo Yudi? The 6 strong men looked solemn. They discussed it for a while, quickly gathered together, and followed the direction that the Death Lord chased out. The Death Lord is cautious by nature, and he left special traces in his universe C. It is difficult for outsiders to find it, but for the 6 strong men of the Hades sect, they can easily find the area where the Death Lord disappeared by following the traces. In less than half an hour, the 6 strong men of the Hades sect had chased Yachen and his group. The Xuanhuan Palace has now turned into a black sphere. The 6 strong men of the Hades sect can't see anything in the sphere, but they can sense the fluctuations of the sphere, as if a battle is happening inside. There is the breath released by the Master when fighting. The Master is inside. The 6 strong men of the Hades sect quickly dispersed, and they surrounded the entire sphere. Let go of our Master immediately, otherwise don't blame us for being rude. One of the strong men said sternly. They were all very strong, and all 6 of them burst out with overwhelming momentum. He, I advise you to get out. A strange voice came from the black sphere. Do it. The 6 strong men of the Hades sect all attacked instantly, and all kinds of attacks madly bombarded the sphere. The combined attack power of them was close to 4,000. However, such an attack was not enough to break the defense of the Palace of Beauty. The Palace of Beauty could not suppress the strong men from the outside, but it could resist the attacks from the outside. You, stop immediately. A cold voice came from the black sphere. You'd better release our Master immediately, otherwise we will continue to attack. We are the strong men of the Hades section. If the Pavilion Master provokes our Hades sect, he will not have a good result. One of the 6 strong men threatened. Humph. A cold snort responded to them. The strong men in the black sphere seemed to be seizing the time to deal with the Death Heavenly Venerable. Everyone, keep attacking, our attack will definitely reduce the pressure on the Master. The 6 strong men of the Hades sect kept attacking. They didn't use forbidden techniques at this moment. Although the power of using forbidden techniques is stronger, it won't last long and the strength will still be reduced. In the Xuanhuan Palace, Yachen kept an eye on the situation outside. The black ball fluctuated from time to time, creating a tense feeling of internal fighting for the 6 strong men of the Hades sect. Are you still not going in? These guys are really cautious. Yachen thought to himself. After 2 hours, the 6 strong men of the Hades sect still didn't come in. In this situation, Ye Chen estimated that they would most likely not enter. On the one hand, they have a strong confidence in the Death Lord, and on the other hand, they definitely don't want him to run away. Half a day later, the 6 strong men of the Hades sect were still attacking. They were all relatively relaxed. In their opinion, it should be their enemies who should be anxious at this moment. Get out of here, I will let you go. A voice came out of the black ball again. Ha ha ha. Your Excellency knows how powerful you are now. It's a pity that it's too late. Your Excellency, surrender obediently. How could the 6 strong men of the Hades sect give up at this time? After attacking for such a long time, the black ball still managed to withstand their attacks. This should be a 5-star immortal treasure, a top-notch thing. Not to mention anything else, if they get this treasure, they will all make a lot of money. If you continue like this, you adults will die. Ye Chen said murderously. If you could kill us adults, you would have succeeded long ago. Excuse me, sir. The more Ye Chen said this, the less likely the 6 powerful men from the Hades sect would leave. Ye Chen sneered in the beauty palace. This is the effect you want. Gradually, another half-day passed, and he was fixed here without moving for a day. Xiaoliu has been able to fully display his strength. Perhaps because he has not entered the Supreme Universe, Xiaoliu's power is only comparable to the 5-star immortal level. But it is already extremely tyrannical. The combat power value is as high as 6030. Outside the Xuanhuan Palace, the 6 strong men from the Hades sect continued to attack for a whole day, and their strength was reduced. Xiaolu, do it. Catch them, don't let them run away. Ye Chen ordered. Xiaolu took action in the next second, and 6 willow sticks arrived outside Xuanhuan Palace in an instant. It is a 5-star immortal and extremely fast. The 6 3-star immortal level experts from the Hades sect were entangled in wickers before they could react. Surrender, or destruction. Ye Chen's cold voice came out from the Xuanhuan Palace. The 5 4-star immortal sword bamboos all released a terrifying aura, suppressing the strength of the 6 strong men of the Hades sect. The Lord of Death has been captured by me. The faces of the 6 strong men from the Hades sect became extremely ugly. The 5-star immortal level strongmen who attacked them actually had 5 4-star immortal level strongmen. They struggled desperately, but there was no possibility of escape. If there was only Xiaoliu, and they all used the forbidden arts together, they might have some chance of escaping. But there are also 5 4-star immortal sword bamboos, and their power can reach outside the Xuanhuan Palace. Damn it! These 6 powerful men from the Ming sect didn't dare to use forbidden techniques. Using forbidden techniques means struggling with all your strength and possibly being destroyed. Although they are all 3-star immortal powerhouses, if they are destroyed by 5-star immortal powerhouses, God knows when they will be resurrected. And they know that even if they use forbidden techniques, others may not do the same. Even if you do this, there is no way you can escape. The Immortal Killing Sword Formation. Ye Chen came out of the Xuanhuan Palace, and he released the Xuxian Sword Formation, covering a large area. He has 3-star immortal strength. Even if these guys have special means to escape, they still have to get past him. I will give you 10 breaths of time. Ye Chen's cold voice sounded. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible. Author, New Dit. Chapter 486. Within 10 breaths, all 6 powerful men of the Ming sect had restricted their own cultivation. Ye Chen breathed a long sigh of relief. Finally got it all done. With the strength of the Death God and the others, since they have come to investigate, in 10 or 8 years, there should be no other strong men from the Hades sect coming to investigate. Let's go back to July universe first. Ye Chen smiled and put the Hanjian palace away. Ye Chen returned to July universe in about half an hour. Kill. In the paradise of death, Ye Chen captured more than 1,000,000 powerful people in the palace of life and death. Among them, there are hundreds of top-notch glazed realm experts. 1/3 of the powerful men in the palace of life and death were killed by Ye Chen. Hundreds of thousands of people died. Boom. The entire July universe was shaken. July universe is still developing at a high speed. Ye Chen killed so many strong men and gave July universe a shot of chicken blood. At least within 5 years, July universe will be developing at a rapid pace. Ye Chen did not kill the remaining 2/3 of the powerful men in the palace of life and death for the time being. At present, the growth rate of July universe has reached its limit. Capturing many powerful men in the palace of life and death alive will be more or less useful. Lanyan, please go back to Kunpeng universe and see if your father and others are willing to come to July universe. You can also move the Zixiao palace here. And Lan, your injury has not fully recovered yet. You will stay in July universe for the time being to guard it to prevent strong men from the palace of life and death from entering July universe and causing trouble. Chang'e, Yan'er, Qian, you three are coming to Tianxian universe with me. Ye Chen said to Zi Lanyan and the others. Tianxian universe. Ye Chen has not yet fully adapted to the environment there. Not even Lu Qian and the others. There are many strong people in the palace of life and death. In addition, there are about 30 immortal level ancestors in the palace of life and death in the supreme universe. While there are no strong people over there now, seize the time to adapt to the environment there. Otherwise, if there are 2 or 3-star immortal level experts inside, they will be embarrassed inside. If the problem in the palace of life and death is not resolved, Ye Chen will not be relieved to leave. Good husband. Zi Lanyan nodded. And Langxiu also wants to go to Tianxian universe, but she has not fully recovered yet. She is strong in July universe, so it is better here. July universe indeed needs people to guard it. Husband, be careful. And Langxiu said. Ye Chen nodded. Without much delay, Ye Chen and the others left quickly, and Zi Lanyan also went to Kunpeng universe. Zi Lanyan is now an immortal level powerhouse, and she also possesses the cosmic will order of Kunpeng universe. She goes to Kunpeng universe alone, and Ye Chen is relieved. There will be no problems on An Langxiu's side. Even a character like the Death God will not be An Langxiu's opponent when he first enters the July universe. An Langxiu's system can enhance his strength. In a few days, Ye Chen and the others arrived at Tianxian universe. No one knew about the news from July universe, so naturally the news didn't come through. Easily, Ye Chen entered the Sky universe. It turns out that Ye Chen has been here for more than 3 months, and his current strength is pretty good. As time passed, Ye Chen and the others quickly adapted to the environment in Tianxian universe. The Dark One and the others are outside the Sky universe. The entire Sky and universe are still in a state of lockdown. 3 or 4 months passed in the blink of an eye. Ye Chen has completely adapted to the environment here in Tianxian universe. Luo Yudi and the others are not there yet, but their strength here has been greatly improved. Dark Supreme, has anything happened recently? Ye Chen arrived outside Tianxian universe, and he sent a message to the Dark Supreme. Back to the Lord, there are 2 1-star immortal level figures approaching in the Palace of Life and Death. They have been captured by us. The Dark Supreme sent a message. The Dark Supreme and the others had 5 2-star immortal level experts, and 2 1-star immortal level experts approached them. The Dark Supreme and the others took down them easily. Well done. Ye Chen said softly. The Dark Supreme quickly handed over the 2 1-star immortal powerhouses from the Palace of Life and Death to Ye Chen. They didn't get the news and came to help. But at this normal time, in another 50 years, the Paradise of Death will be opened, and a large number of powerful people will enter the paradise of death, and the palace of life and death can get great benefits. They come back to take a look and get some benefits along the way. What's it called? Ye Chen said softly. The two one-star immortal powerhouses from the palace of life and death arrived in front of him. Their faces were very ugly. I came back from such a far distance to get some benefits, but the sky universe was captured before I even entered. Soon the two said their names. Their names are quite long. The road number is not bad. One of the two is named Tianluo Supreme, and the other is Earthly Supreme. We were senior brothers when we were in the Hall of Life and Death, and we had a good relationship. Both of them became immortal level powerhouses, which was also a good story back then. However, a long time has passed and they no longer have much affection for the Palace of Life and Death. Most of the people I knew back then are dead. Sovereign Tianluo and Supreme Earthly Luo, can they do it by gathering together the powerful men from the Palace of Life and Death? Ye Chen said calmly. The powerful men in the Palace of Life and Death are not gathered in the sect now. They are scattered throughout the sky and the universe. It will take a lot of time to deal with them all. It would be much easier if Heavenly Luo Supreme, Earthly Luo Supreme and others help. You want us to completely betray the Palace of Life and Death? Tianluo Supreme said with a gloomy expression. Ye Chen said quietly, why, are you unwilling? You have immortal level cultivation, so you won't die, but you will be very sad in the future. Having said this, Ye Chen directly took Tianluo Supreme and the others into the Heaven Refining Tower. The Heavenly Curse Supreme is currently in the Heaven Refining Tower. Unable to withstand the punishment from the Heavenly Refining Tower, Tianluo Supreme and the others still attacked the Heavenly Curse Supreme. Various punishment methods were used on the Heavenly Curse Supreme. My lord. 10 days passed, and Ye Chen asked Tianluo Supreme and the others to come out. They knelt down in front of Ye Chen respectfully. Ye Chen said softly, in the sky universe, your five-fold increase can only reach the 2-star immortal level. I have completely adapted to the environment inside. I will leave a mark on you, and it will be easy to find you. Don't even think about escaping from the sky universe. The Dark Lord and the others are guarding outside. Do your best and I will accept your allegiance. Supreme Heavenly Luo and Supreme Earthly Luo nodded respectfully. Soon, Ye Chen took Tianluo Supreme and Dai Luo Supreme to the Tianxian universe. During this period, Hanjian Palace and Xiaoliu did not go outside the Tianxian universe. Boom. Ye Chen asked Tianluo Supreme, Dai Luo Supreme and others to feel their strength. I also felt the strength of Xiaoliu and the others. Tianluo Supreme and Earth Luo Supreme did reach the 2-star immortal level after their strength increased 5-fold, but they found that they were still just scum. Lord, we will definitely get it done. Tianluo's Hizun and Earth Luo's Hizun left. Not long after, they arrived at the headquarters of the Palace of Life and Death. Although 80% to 90% of the powerful men in the Palace of Life and Death are now scattered throughout the entire sky and universe, there are still many powerful people in the Palace of Life and Death here at the headquarters. Secretly, Ye Chen also arrived here. He hoped that everything goes well for Tianluo Supreme, Earth Luo Supreme and others. If not, he can only force them. Ye Chen plans to kill the Master of Life and Death Hall when he arrives. Let's see if we can let Luo Yudi or Lu Qianqian possess the cosmic will order of Tianxian universe. This is not that easy. There are still more than 20 immortal level powerhouses in the sky universe who are not here. Although the Death God has won, will he support Luo Yudi and the others in obtaining the cosmic will order? Will the Dark Lord lose control if they enter here? If the Dark Supreme loses control, they may not support Luo Yudi and the others in obtaining the cosmic will order. It is worth mentioning that when the Lord of the Palace of Life and Death dies, the Dark Lord and their cosmic will orders will not expire. But if there is a new controller here, whoever gets the cosmic will order from Luo Yudi and the others, and the deputy orders of the Dark Supreme and the Cosmic Will Order will become invalid. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible. Author, New Dit. Chapter 487. What's going on? Everyone is in a panic. Why are you cultivating? How does a palace master like Alton Benson do things? Tianluo Supreme directly entered the sect of the Palace of Life and Death and yelled. In the sect of the Palace of Life and Death, people are now in panic. There is no calmness at all. You are dash. Some strong men in the Palace of Life and Death asked doubtfully, they didn't know Tianluo Supreme and the others. The last time Tianluo Supreme and the others came back was tens of billions of years ago. Even at the immortal level, many people who can live forever will not live for tens of billions of years. If you want to become stronger, you have to go through the tribulation, but you may die if you go through the tribulation. If you want to get more resources, you have to take risks, and more people will die in this regard. I am the Supreme Lord of Tianluo. Tianluo Supreme said with an arrogant expression, let Alton Benson come out to see us. You are the ancestor of Tianluo. The strong man in front of Tianluo Supreme said in surprise. Although he has never seen it, there are dozens of ancestors in the Palace of Life and Death, so he still knows the name of Supreme Tianluo. Good. Supreme Tianluo nodded. I've met the ancestor of Tianluo. Many strong men from the surrounding Palace of Life and Death immediately gathered over to salute. Among them are those in the glazed realm, and even those at the top glazed realm level. Where's Alton Benson? The paradise of life and death is about to open. Could it be that his palace master is in seclusion? Tianluo Supreme glanced at him and frowned. Of course he knew that the master of life and death hall was captured by Ye Chen. Now I don't know what to do even if I want to act. Ancestor Tianluo, did you come back directly? An elder-level figure in the Palace of Life and Death asked. Tianluo Supreme frowned and said, if you don't come back directly, why don't you stop and rest on the way? Two ancestors, didn't you encounter any trouble before entering? Another elder said. Supreme Tianluo's expression changed, is there something wrong with the sect? Our Palace of Life and Death is the only overlord in Universe 13. Who dares to touch us? Two ancestors, let's go inside and talk. Soon Tianluo Supreme and the others entered the main hall of the sect. Some powerful people in the Palace of Life and Death explained the current situation to Tianluo Supreme and the others. There are some things that they actually don't know very clearly. But they know that there is no news about the Dark Lord and others when they go out, and there is no news about the masters of the Palace of Life and Death and the powerful people behind them when they go outside. Two ancestors, since you can enter smoothly, the enemy may have left. Two ancestors, what should we do? The fifth elder of the Palace of Life and Death asked tentatively. He, the fifth elder, is now the highest ranking figure in the Palace of Life and Death. The son of the Lord of Life and Death, Odano, etc., had a very high status when the Lord of Life and Death was there, but now their status is slightly lower. Tianluo Supreme frowned, it would be best if the enemy leaves, but if the enemy does not leave but enters the sky, there will be some trouble. According to what you said, the enemy's strength may exceed the 3-star immortal level. After our increase, we will only have the strength of a 2-star immortal level. The Supreme Lord of Diluo remained silent. Then he said, Tianluo, let's go. The expressions of many strong men present in the Palace of Life and Death changed slightly. Tianluo Supreme and the others have returned. At least they have a backbone. If they leave and the enemy comes here again, they can only wait for destruction. I'm afraid it will be easy for us to come back but difficult to get out. Tianluo Supreme said in a deep voice. It is also possible that the enemy has not entered, but is just hiding in the outside world, waiting for us to take a large number of powerful people from the Palace of Life and Death out of the sky universe. The fifth elder said, Sovereign Tianluo, you are right. There is indeed such a risk. The palace master and the others just went out and never came back. Tianluo Supreme said with a gloomy expression, I didn't expect that our palace of life and death would reach this point. After the incident happened to the palace master and the others, none of you strong men went out to test them. The fifth elder shook his head and said, Ancestor, no. It's more dangerous to come here. Also, even if some of us get outside, what can we do? Who can we ask for help? The Palace of Life and Death itself is the only overlord in Sea Area 13. As for seeking help from the ancestors in the Supreme Universe, news has already been spread before. Already asked for help. Those who want to come back after getting the news will definitely come back. Those who don't want to come back will stay far away even if they know the situation here. Tianluo, let's find a place to hide. Even if the place is strong, the possibility of finding us is very low. Diluo's Hizun said. When he opened his mouth, he either wanted to leave or hide. But when he said this, the rest of the powerful men in the Palace of Life and Death became more and more at ease with Tianluo Supreme and the others. Some people in the Palace of Life and Death still know Tianluo Supreme and the others. Tianluo Supreme and others are not so enthusiastic. If it weren't for the possible benefits, Tianluo Supreme and the others would not return. Everyone, your current plan is quite good. Spread out and hide. I and Diluo are also hiding. I hope our Palace of Life and Death can escape this disaster. We will tell the Lord of Death the news then. Tianluo's Hizundeo. The fifth elder and the others were a little dumbfounded. Is that all? They also hope that Tianluo Supreme and others can have some constructive opinions. Ancestor Tianluo, there is no other good way. The fifth elder said unwillingly. Worrying that the enemy might come at any time now is too painful for the powerful men in the Palace of Life and Death. There is no better way. Tianluo Supreme shook his head. He sent a message to Ye Chen, my lord, the strong men in the Life and Death Hall are very vigilant. It may take us a long time to gain their trust. At present, Diluo and I plan to hide first. As time goes by, their trust in us will be greatly improved. Ye Chen's eyes flashed with brilliance. Tianluo Supreme and his men may have another idea. It depends on whether he can find them after hiding. If Ye Chen can't find them after hiding, they may get rid of them just like that. Okay. Ye Chen directly agreed to Tianluo Supreme and his men's plan. What is the current situation in the Life and Death Hall? Tell me in detail. Tianluo Supreme immediately told Ye Chen all the relevant information he had obtained. He did not hide this aspect. Ye Chen frowned secretly. It seems that Tianluo Supreme and his men are unlikely to gain the trust of a large number of strong men in the Life and Death Hall in a short period of time. We have to use force against them. I hope Qianqian or Chang'e can obtain the universal order here. Ye Chen said in his heart. He himself cannot obtain the universal order here, but Lu Qianqian and the others may. As long as they get the universal order, he can also have the deputy order of the universal order. His strength here can be greatly improved. Without taking action immediately, Ye Chen waited for another 2 or 3 months, and Lu Qianqian and the others had adapted to the environment here. Ye Chen changed his appearance and went directly to the sect of the Life and Death Palace, and then he went to the Hongjian Palace, and he turned the Hongjian Palace into an extremely huge black dragon. The sect of the Life and Death Palace is already very large, but the black dragon that the Hongjian Palace has now turned into is even bigger. It stretches trillions of kilometers from head to tail. The 5-star immortal aura burst out from the black dragon in the sky. Crack, crack. The defense of the Life and Death Palace sect suddenly creaked, as if it would collapse in the next second. Immediately, a large number of Life and Death Palace's strong men injected power frantically. The defense of the Life and Death Palace sect was able to hold up under the terrible aura emitted by the Hongjian Palace. All the people in the Palace of Life and Death, gather immediately, submit completely, and support me to become the master of the sky universe. Otherwise, all of you in the palace of life and death, all die. Ye Chen's overbearing voice came from the terrifying black dragon in the sky. In the sect of the palace of life and death, a large number of strong men trembled. The figure of the Lord of the Palace of Life and Death appeared outside the sect of the Palace of Life and Death at this time. Many strong men saw him. Puff! A huge sword energy descended from the sky, and the Lord of the Palace of Life and Death was directly cut in half. Boom! The entire sky universe changed suddenly, and thunders roared in countless places, and blood clouds rolled. Not long after, blood rained all over the sky universe. Blood rain falls, and the master dies. Is the Lord of the Palace of Life and Death dead? In the entire sky universe, countless strong men looked at the sky in shock. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible. Author, New Did. Chapter 488. In the Palace of Life and Death, a large number of powerful men looked at the outside world in shock. The Palace Master is dead. It's really the Palace Master. The blood is raining down, so the Palace Master must be dead. Many strong men in the Palace of Life and Death were at a loss. A few years ago, their Palace of Life and Death was the only transcendent force in Universe 13. In just a few years, their Palace Masters were all killed. And he died at the gate of the sect. The sad thing is that they stay at the sect headquarters and don't even dare to leave the sect. For the powerful men from the other forces in the sky universe, I will give you half a month to get to the headquarters of the Palace of Life and Death. In half a month, I will begin to kill the immortal level powerhouses in the rest of the sky universe. If you arrive half a month later, kill half of them. Ye Chen's voice spread to the inside of the Palace of Life and Death, and also spread far away. The sky has changed. The Palace of Life and Death is over. Near the headquarters of the Palace of Life and Death, there were many strong men from other forces, and they all heard what Ye Chen said. The news immediately spread to the rest of the sky and universe as quickly as possible. The sky and the universe undergo drastic changes, and even the immortal level experts in seclusion will feel it. Half a month is enough time for the immortal powerhouses in other places to get the news and come over. What to do? Many bigwigs in the Hall of Life and Death immediately gathered, and they were panicked. Everyone, the opponent's strength is too terrifying, it shouldn't be Ye Chen and the others. There is a high probability that it is a force from the Supreme Universe. Maybe the other party won't do anything to our Palace of Life and Death. In the main hall, many powerful people in the Palace of Life and Death were talking about it. After a discussion, they sent out a summons and asked the remaining strong men from the Palace of Life and Death to return. With the strength that Ye Chen has shown, the strong men in the other places in the Palace of Life and Death are likely to be destroyed if they don't return. Go back. This is the only way. In other places, most of the powerful men from the Palace of Life and Death chose to return. Immortal level experts from other forces also rushed to the Palace of Life and Death. There's no pressure on them. No matter what kind of power the powerful person in trouble is, they should not be killed. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. In the sky universe, 80% of the immortal level experts have gathered at the Palace of Life and Death, and almost all the immortal level experts from the remaining forces have come over. The strong men in retreat have ended their retreat for the time being. There are still many strong men in the Palace of Life and Death who have not returned to the sect. Qian, stay here. Ye Chen ordered. He left from the headquarters of the Palace of Life and Death and started killing. Already fully adapted to the strength here, Ye Chen's combat power is as high as 400 to 500. His consciousness can cover a large area. Flying at extremely high speeds, you can find many powerful people hidden in the Palace of Life and Death every day. Ye Chen did not kill these strong men quietly. Damn, what should I do? Many strong men have been killed in the past few days. If this continues, within 10 years at most, we will all be found and killed. Ye Chen killed many strong men every day, and the news continued to spread, reaching the ears of the strong men who were hiding in the palace of life and death. Under the threat of death, many powerful men who had been hiding in the palace of life and death returned to their sects. Another day, Ye Chen showed up, and in front of many people, Ye Chen killed many people in the palace of life and death. Everyone, please spread the word. People from the Hall of Life and Death can avoid death if they kill a person of the same level and go back. A character of one level lower needs 10. Ye Chen said in a deep voice. Many people present were shocked. If such an order is spread, many strong men in the palace of life and death will definitely kill each other. The interior of the palace of life and death will begin to collapse. A month passed in the blink of an eye. Many powerful people were killed by Ye Chen in the palace of life and death, and naturally more of them returned to the sect under strong pressure. There are also some who want to escape from the sky universe. When those strong men went outside, they were all captured by the Dark Lord and the others. More than 95% of the powerful people should have gathered. If the Death God and others support it, and the Dark Lord and the others have no problem entering here, Qian or Chang'e should be able to obtain the cosmic will order. Ye Chen secretly thought. He reached the Brahma ring. Saw the Lord of Death. The Death God's strength can be increased 5 times here, but his cultivation is completely imprisoned at the moment, and it is useless even if his strength can be increased 10 times. Ye Chen, when you meet me, do you want me to support you so that you can obtain the cosmic will order from the sky and the universe? Dream. Death God sneered. Even if the cultivation level is sealed, the Death God can still notice the changes in the world. The Lord of the Hall of Life and Death is dead. Ye Chen came to see him at this time, his purpose was obvious. Ye Chen said softly, Death Lord, I will give you 2 ways. The first is to persuade the other powerful men in the palace of life and death to support me and let my woman become the master of the sky and the universe. I promise you that I will release you within 1,000 years, and within this 1,000 years, I will let you eat and drink well. Second, you find a brothel to pick up customers. You are a man, and there are many men who like men. Knowing your identity, there should be many people looking for you. The Lord of Death glared at Ye Chen fiercely. Ye Chen smiled and said, if by then you are used to staying in a brothel and feel that it is nothing more than this, you can do other things, such as being a cleaner. Lick the street with your tongue every day. The second one is diverse, I guarantee you will have a very rich experience then. The corner of Death's mouth twitched, he was not afraid of the punishment, he could bear it. In comparison, what Ye Chen said brought him much more pressure. When the 1,000 years are up, you release me, are you serious? Death Tianzun took a deep breath. Ye Chen nodded, I swear by the way of heaven, if I lie to you, I will never be able to improve my cultivation, and I will not die well in the future. How long has it been since I started practicing? In 1,000 years, Ye Chen is confident that his strength will be stronger than the leader of the Hades cult. Even if he releases Death Tianzun, he can kill him again. Death Tianzun gritted his teeth and said, your oath is not poisonous enough. If you don't release me, or if you target me again within 1,000 years, you will have no descendants. Your women will not die well either. You will be humiliated before you die. Ye Chen's eyes flashed coldly, but he nodded in the end. He did not intend to break his oath. In that case, I promise you. Death Lord said in a deep voice. 1,000 years did not seem very long to him, and it was still acceptable. The consequences of not accepting it were terrible. Very good. Your next task is to convince the Supreme of Heavenly Curse and the others. Ye Chen said in a calm voice, and he asked Death Lord to go to the Supreme of Heavenly Curse. Then Ye Chen went to the outside world, and asked the Supreme of Darkness and the others to confine their cultivation and then went to the sky universe. Returning to the Hanjian Palace, Ye Chen released the confinement of the Supreme of Darkness and the others. They already had the cultivation of the 2-star immortal level, and their strength increased by 5 times. Boom! Boom! The Supreme of Darkness and the others all revealed a strong aura, and their eyes also changed. They were all out of control. Supreme of Darkness, you are now in the Xuanhuan Palace. Ye Chen said indifferently. Although they got rid of control, the Supreme of Darkness and the others did not mess around at this time. Dark Supreme and his companions helped to capture Death Supreme and others. They knew that Xuanhuan Palace was a 5-star immortal treasure, and that Xiao Lu was also a 5-star immortal. There are 5 4-star immortal sword bamboos in Xuanhuan Palace. Even if they have reached the 3-star immortal strength after amplification, so what? Death Supreme has agreed to help me get the universal order of the sky universe. What do you think? Ye Chen said. Black Dragon Supreme took a deep breath and said, did the Death Ancestor really agree? Ye Chen let Black Dragon Supreme and his companions see what the Death Ancestor was doing now. Black Dragon Supreme and his companions had a complicated look. The Death Ancestor was actually trying to persuade Tianzu Supreme. The Death Ancestor had really abandoned the Life and Death Palace. My lord. Black Dragon Supreme and his companions knelt down on one knee and said. The Lord of the Life and Death Palace was dead, and the Death Ancestor, the strongest person, had also abandoned the Life and Death Palace. There was no point in them insisting. With Ye Chen's strength, surrender was not unacceptable. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible. Author, New Dit. Chapter 489. We swear to be loyal to the Lord to the death and will never betray you. If we disobey, we will be punished by heaven and earth. The 5 of them, the Dark Supreme, said in unison. Ye Chen nodded, get up, let's go over together to persuade the Heavenly Curse Supreme. Yes, my lord. Ye Chen quickly led the Dark Supreme and others to appear in front of the Heavenly Curse Supreme. The Death God is still persuading the Heavenly Curse Supreme. The Heavenly Curse Supreme bid him to death, and he was very angry with Ye Chen. He brought many powerful people to trouble Ye Chen, but they actually fell in front of Ye Chen. Brother Taoist Death, we have already pledged allegiance to the Lord, and the Palace of Life and Death is basically gone. There is no point in holding on any longer. The Dark Lord spoke. Golden Arrow Supreme and the others also opened their mouths to persuade. The Heavenly Curse Supreme sneered, you are loyal to the enemy, I have no such interest. Ye Chen, no matter what you say or do, I will never compromise. Ye Chen's eyes flashed with cold light. He has captured more than a dozen of the 1-star immortal level experts in the Palace of Life and Death. They have surrendered, the Dark Lord and the others have surrendered, and the Death Lord has already compromised. The Heavenly Curse Supreme never let go. He is a 3-star immortal powerhouse, one who can match 5 2-star immortal powerhouses, and more than 20 1-star immortal powerhouses, which is very important. Without his support, and because there are still more than 20 immortal level experts in the Palace of Life and Death who have not returned, the chance of Lu Qianqian or Chang'e obtaining the cosmic will order is low. Sovereign Heavenly Curse, if you compromise, as long as one of Qianqian and the others obtains the cosmic will order, you can get the same treatment as the Death Lord. Ye Chen said in a deep voice. Oh, I don't care about it. The Heavenly Curse Supreme sneered. Ye Chen frowned secretly, Heavenly Curse Supreme, this is the stone in the pit, smelly and hard. He had threatened him in other ways before, but it was useless. Even if he is sent to a brothel, Supreme Heavenly Curse doesn't care. People always have weaknesses. The weakness of the Heavenly Curse Supreme is. Ye Chen thought. The Heavenly Curse Supreme Lord has no relatives at all in the Palace of Life and Death. Back then, one of his descendants reached the immortal level, but they died later. Suddenly, Ye Chen thought of something. The Heavenly Curse Supreme has a powerful system, and he spends a long time with the system. Death Lord, you retreat first. Yechen waved his hand, and Death God and the others disappeared. Sovereign Heavenly Curse, you and your system should have a good relationship, right? Yechen chuckled. The face of Supreme Heavenly Curse changed slightly. The change was very subtle, but now that his cultivation was imprisoned and Yechen was strong, he still noticed it. Heh, it seems I was right. If you don't want your system to perish, you'd better cooperate. Yechen said. The Heavenly Curse Supreme said coldly, if I don't recognize my master, can you still seize my system by force? I'm afraid you don't have this ability. 2 minutes passed. Yechen, stop, I take my seat. The Heavenly Curse Supreme shouted with an extremely ugly expression. Devoured by Yechen's system, the Heavenly Curse Supreme system could soon be unable to withstand it. Yechen, I still want the previous conditions. The Heavenly Curse Supreme said in a deep voice. Yechen said with an indifferent expression, you didn't cherish the conditions I gave you just now, and you still want those conditions now? Are you probably not dreaming? I have to add one condition to you. The Heavenly Curse Supreme looked at Yechen. Yechen said, my women now only have 1-star immortal cultivation. Within 1,000 years, they will ask you for a fair duel. If they beat you, you will die. The Heavenly Curse Supreme thought for a while and nodded. In just 1,000 years, he felt that it was impossible for Enlangsu and the others to surpass him. Cooperate when the time comes. If they cannot obtain the cosmic will order, your system will not be preserved, and all my promises to you will be invalid. Yechen said in a deep voice. The Heavenly Curse Supreme nodded. Yechen sent a message to Lu Qianqian and Luo Yudi, and they paused their training. Qianqian, Chang'e, which one of you wants to obtain the cosmic will order of Tianxian universe? Yechen asked. Zi Lanyan and Shang Guanyan respectively obtained the cosmic will orders of Kunpeng universe and Titan universe. Enlangsu is not here at all now? You can only choose from Lu Qianqian and the others. Luo Yudi smiled sweetly and said, brother-in-law, it doesn't matter, our roots are in July universe anyway. Even if we get the cosmic will order here, it should only be Sankei's cosmic will order. Yechen said, that's not necessarily the case. Hanjian Palace is now at the 5-star immortal level, and Xiaolu is also at the 5-star immortal level. It should still be possible for you to obtain the colorful universe will order. Luo Yudi laughed and said, it's just so. We can increase the power 7 times in July universe. Qianqian, come and get the cosmic will order here. Chang'e, we may enter the supreme universe later, and we may not obtain the universal will order again. Are you sure you don't want this? Lu Qianqian said. Luo Yudi shook her head repeatedly, it's useless to ask for this, I don't want it. Yechen felt funny in his heart. The cosmic will order of the super first line universe was actually disliked by them. If many other strong men knew about it, they would probably vomit blood. Qianqian, it's just you. Be more steady. Yechen looked at Lu Qianqian and said. Good husband. Lu Qianqian nodded. Yechen's voice reached the outside of the huge black dragon formed by the Hanjian Palace. Everyone, pay attention, you will enter the Hanjian Palace. Don't resist. Accompanied by Yechen's voice, a stream of suction fell on a large number of strong men from the Life and Death Palace, and they were drawn into the Hanjian Palace one after another. Soon countless strong men arrived at the Hanjian Palace. Yechen and Lu Qianqian appeared. They appeared in their original appearance at this time. Yechen. This. Many strong men in the Life and Death Palace widened their eyes, they couldn't believe it. How could it be Yechen? If they knew it was Yechen, many of them would definitely not return. Yechen said in a deep voice, everyone, next to me is my woman Lu Qianqian. Your mission is to make her the new master of the sky universe. Let her obtain the universal order. If it succeeds, everything will be fine. Many people in the life and death hall can survive. If it fails, I will send all the people in the life and death hall to their deaths. As for the immortal level strongmen of other forces, even if you fail, you will not all die. How many will die depends on my mood at that time. Yechen will not kill the strongmen with good reputations in other forces. Yechen will not be polite to the strongmen with bad reputations. You can start now. I will not give you much time. If you feel that the power of prayer is not enough, you can send a message to let more people in the sky universe participate. At this point, Yechen disappeared. Lu Qianqian said, "Everyone, I hope everyone will support me. My husband keeps his word. If he fails, many people in the sky universe will definitely die." The Death Lord stood up at this time. A large number of strong men in the life and death hall saw him. "I am the Lord of Death. Everyone in the hall of life and death, listen to my orders and cooperate with me." The Lord of Death said in a deep voice, and as he spoke, he exuded the aura of a 4-star immortal level. "I am the Supreme Lord of Heavenly Curse, everyone, cooperate with me with all your strength." The Supreme Lord of Heavenly Curse also stood up. Then, the Supreme Lord of Darkness and the others stood up. There were too many people present, and countless people in the Hall of Life and Death had not noticed the Lord of Death and the others, but now they finally found out. The ancestors have already supported it. Then what else is there to say? Support it? Many powerful people in the Hall of Life and Death discussed it. A large number of powerful people began to silently pray for Lu Qianqian to become the master of the sky universe. Many of their powerful people spread the news to the outside world and ordered a large number of people who did not have the strength of the immortal level to participate. Although those people were much weaker in strength, they were better in number. Unknowingly, half a year had passed, and Lu Qianqian should have succeeded after so long. But she didn't. "Tiandao, listen to me. If Qianqian doesn't have the will of the universe, a large number of strong people in the sky universe will die, and the sky universe will gradually decline in the future. Qianqian has obtained the will of the universe, and you may become more powerful in the future. Think it over." Yechen's soul power spread to the world. The sky universe is a super first-line universe, and Tiandao may have a certain consciousness. 5 minutes later, light spots began to appear around Lu Qianqian. These light spots entered Lu Qianqian's body one after another. The will of the universe began to condense. "As long as I stay in the Empress Palace, I am invincible." Author, New Di. Chapter 490. There was a strange look in Yechen's eyes. The threat actually had an effect. "Tiandao, it's up to you. If the will of the universe is stronger, the future development of Tianxian universe will be better." Yechen quickly added. "Now that the threat is effective, maybe Lu Qianqian can get a better cosmic will order." Half a month passed before I knew it. Within Lu Qianqian's body, the cosmic will order was completely formed. "Husband, you are the colorful will command of the universe." Lu Qianqian said to Yechen in disbelief. "What the Lord of the Palace of Life and Death possesses is the colorful universe will order, but the Palace of Life and Death has made a great contribution to the sky and the universe. He inherited it from the old palace master. Under normal circumstances, it would be absolutely impossible for Lu Qianqian to obtain the colorful cosmic will order. It would be nice to have colorful cosmic will orders. Lord, my cosmic will order and deputy order are gone." The Dark Supreme and others sent a message to Yechen. A look of enlightenment flashed in Yechen's eyes. Could it be that the Heavenly Dao used the Dark Supreme and their cosmic will order to make Lu Qianqian's cosmic will order stronger? Attention everyone, the universal will order has been successfully condensed. You don't have to pray anymore. From now on, Qianqian is the master of the sky and the universe. Yechen said in a deep voice. Lu Qianqian stood up. Husband, since I have become the master here, I would like to ask for mercy on behalf of many people here and kill less people. Ye Chen was silent. Lu Qianqian begged, husband, please promise me to kill less people. Some evil people in the palace of life and death have been killed, but some good people, ordinary people, let them live. A large number of strong men looked at Ye Chen anxiously. Okay. It's up to you. Originally, at least half of the people in the palace of life and death, I have to kill them. Ye Chen said in a deep voice. When Lu Qianqian said this, it was actually Ye Chen who secretly instructed her to be such a good person. Some people in the palace of life and death must still die. However, Lu Qianqian obtained the colorful cosmic will order, and its value is quite high. Husband, thank you. Lu Qianqian said quickly. Ye Chen glanced at the countless powerful people present. Everyone, all of you can summon me to report the powerful people in your own force or other forces. When I kill someone, I don't look at the other person's strength, only based on what the other person has done. Evil people have a high chance of being killed. This is your chance to retaliate and take revenge. Don't worry, as long as you are loyal in the future, the information you revealed will not be spread. By the way, malicious fabrication is strictly prohibited. If such a situation occurs, I will punish you severely. After Ye Chen finished speaking, countless strong men showed surprise in their eyes. Many strong men in the palace of life and death looked ugly. The palace of life and death is very powerful, and usually they bully other forces more. There will definitely be a lot of reports now. With so many people present, it was impossible for them to know who reported them. Everyone, you have half a day. Ye Chen smiled and lay down after he finished speaking. Many strong men quickly summoned Ye Chen to report the rest of the strong men. They won't be polite when given such an opportunity. The smile on Ye Chen's face grew wider. Strong men from many forces reported on each other, and a large number of strong men reported on the strong men in the palace of life and death. In the future, they can only support him and the master Lu Qianqian. Otherwise, the exposure of these reported information will be enough for them to die. Time passed by minute. Ye Chen received a massive amount of information every second. There were countless people present who were reporting against all kinds of targets. The powerful people in the palace of life and death were the ones who were reported the most. There were also many forces who were reporting people within their own power. Half a day was up, and no strong person could send a message to Ye Chen. Those who should be reported have already been reported. Everyone, based on your report information, I will clean up some garbage. Let the sky in the sky and the universe become cleaner. Ye Chen said in a deep voice. A large number of strong men cheered. The proportion of villains is not very high, and most people actually feel that they will definitely not be eliminated. After a while, Ye Chen pressed his hand. The cheers stopped. Those who have been selected, you don't have to worry about being killed by mistake. I will ask you if you did some things. You only need to answer yes or no. You can't fool me. Ye Chen said softly. Having said this, Ye Chen thought, and about 15% of the powerful people present disappeared. Among them, the proportion of strong men in the palace of life and death is relatively high. Countless powerful people were overjoyed that the person they reported was really selected. Everyone, please stay some time. Ye Chen said. The next second, Ye Chen and Lu Qianqian disappeared, and Lu Qianqian quickly retreated into seclusion to condense the will of the universe. She had to get a copy of the cosmic will order and give it to Ye Chen. As Ye Chen's strength increased, it would be easier to judge whether those strong people had problems. 2 months later, the Deputy Order of the Universal Will came out. Ye Chen fused this piece of the cosmic will order and his Deputy Order, and his strength suddenly increased 5 times. His combat power was originally 4 to 500, but it increased to more than 2000. Everyone, I will now summon you to tell you some of the things you have done. You will answer yes or no when the time comes. Ye Chen said calmly, and he sent a lot of information to tens of thousands of them. No. All of them denied it. If they said yes, they would be killed. Silence would also kill them. They could only answer no and see if they could get away with it. Unfortunately, they were all imprisoned in their cultivation. With their status, how could they deceive Ye Chen? More than 2,000 combat power, this is already the level of a 4-star immortal level strongman. Next batch. Ye Chen could handle a batch in half a minute. Although he transferred a lot of people, Ye Chen had checked them all in less than half a day. Basically, no one was wronged. Since Ye Chen picked them out, they must not have been reported by 1 or 2 people. Qian, you stay here, I'll go back. By the way, take Lan and the others over. Things here are done, we have to prepare to go to the Supreme Universe. Ye Chen said to Lu Qian and Luo Yudi. Yeah. Lu Qian and the others nodded. Ye Chen left quickly without any trouble. He returned to July Universe in a few days. Zi Lanyan had already brought Xiao Palace Master, Shu Gaifei, and others over. Husband, I will have another sister. Sensing Ye Chen's return, Zi Lanyan immediately came to Ye Chen and said happily. And Langxiu also came to Ye Chen immediately. Ye Chen opened his arms and hugged them. Qian will also have another sister, Qian must be very happy. Ye Chen said with a smile. Xiao Palace Master and Shu Gaifei have been married for so long, it is normal for Shu Gaifei to be pregnant. Husband, when will we have a child? And Langxiu said expectantly. Ye Chen kissed An Langxiu and said, when we find Hanjian, we will start making people. After finding Luo Hanjian, Ye Chen planned to bring Luo Hanjian back to July Universe. They don't need to stay in the Supreme Universe. Even with their current cultivation, staying in the Supreme Universe may cause trouble. Ye Chen, we are coming. The Lord of Xiao Palace sent a message to Ye Chen, and Ye Chen quickly let go of An Langxiu and the others. Soon the Lord of Xiao Palace and the others came over. Father-in-law, mother-in-law, congratulations. Ye Chen said with a smile. Concubine Shu was a little embarrassed, and the Lord of Xiao Palace said, Ye Chen, has the problem with the Life and Death Palace been completely solved? Ye Chen nodded. The Lord of Xiao Palace was amazed. Once upon a time, the Life and Death Palace was still a huge monster that he could only look up to. Now it has been solved by Ye Chen and the others.